It was supposed to be just a quick favor. Pick up my friend's mom from the airport, drop her home, maybe chat a little on the way. Nothing weird about that. But the second she got into my car, I knew something was off. She looked nothing like I remembered. Her hair, once short and neat, was longer now, darker too, like she'd dyed it in a hurry. There was this distant look in her eyes, not tired, but watchful, like she was trying to figure out if I was safe to be around. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I brushed it off, told myself I was imagining things. Long flight? I asked, trying to make small talk. She gave a short laugh. Something like that. Her voice sounded the same, but there was a tension underneath, a sort of guarded energy that made my hands tighten around the steering wheel. She had one small suitcase with her, but she kept it close, like it was something more important than just clothes. The first few minutes were quiet. Too quiet. I tried asking about my friend, her son, how he'd been doing, if she was surprised he'd sent me to pick her up. She just nodded. Didn't really answer. That's when I started to notice the details. The faint bruise near her wrist. The way she kept glancing at the rearview mirror, not at the road behind us, but at the cars following. Like she was making sure no one was tailing her. At one point, she asked me to take a different route. Avoid the main road, she said, eyes still on the mirror. Too much traffic. I almost joked about her being paranoid, but something in her tone made me stop. It wasn't fear exactly. It was survival. Like someone who'd been running for a while and wasn't sure if it was finally over. When we stopped at a red light, I saw her hands trembling slightly. She caught me looking, quickly tucked them under her jacket, and smiled again. Sorry, I get nervous in cars sometimes. I nodded, pretending to understand. But inside, my brain was racing. My friend had mentioned his mom was coming back from a retreat. Said she'd been working on herself. Whatever that meant. But the woman sitting next to me didn't look like someone who'd just come back from a peaceful retreat. She looked like someone who'd seen something, or someone she shouldn't have. I decided to keep driving, hoping things would get less awkward once we got closer to her neighborhood. But then, halfway through the ride, she leaned slightly closer and said something that made my stomach drop. Can we not go home yet? She said quietly. Drive somewhere quiet. Her tone wasn't a request. It was a command, calm, controlled, but filled with something else underneath. Desperation. I glanced at her, confused, waiting for her to explain. She didn't. Just stared out the window, her hand gripping that small suitcase like her life depended on it. And that's when I realized, maybe this wasn't my friend's mother at all. I met Ryan during my first year at college. We weren't best friends, but we clicked fast. The kind of friendship that forms out of shared late-night drives, bad coffee, and half-serious talks about escaping the city someday. His mom, Lena, was someone I'd only met twice. Once during a barbecue, and once when she dropped off Ryan's forgotten wallet. She'd seemed kind, soft-spoken, a little shy maybe. Nothing about her stood out in a bad way. So when Ryan texted me that morning, "Hey man, can you grab my mom from the airport? I'm stuck at work," I didn't think twice. I owed him a few favors anyway. But the woman sitting beside me in the car now felt like someone else entirely. Her hair, her voice, her eyes, all just a little off. Enough to make my brain whisper, something isn't right. I kept replaying her words, drive somewhere quiet. The air inside the car felt heavier after that. Every sound, the hum of the tires, the ticking of the blinker, seemed louder. She didn't say much for a while, just stared out the window, as if trying to memorize the world passing by. You're Ryan's mom, right? I asked, hoping she'd laugh, make a joke, prove I was just being paranoid. She turned to look at me then. Slowly. Of course, she said. Why? Her smile lingered a second too long, like she was trying to convince me. I shrugged. No reason. You just seem different. People change, she said quietly. Sometimes all at once. We passed a gas station, and she tensed up again, ducking slightly in her seat as if avoiding being seen. I wanted to ask what was going on, but something in her eyes, that mix of fear and exhaustion, made me keep my mouth shut. Instead, I tried to piece things together. Ryan had told me his mom moved away for a bit. Something about needing space after his dad died. He never said much more than that, and I never pressed. But now, sitting beside this stranger who was supposedly her, I started to wonder, maybe that space had turned into something darker. We turned off the highway onto a quieter road lined with old warehouses. The kind of place where cell service got spotty and people didn't usually drive unless they had a reason. Here's quiet, I said, forcing a nervous laugh. She looked around, then gave a small nod. Perfect. She reached into her bag, hands trembling slightly, and pulled out a folded piece of paper. She hesitated before handing it to me. If anything happens, she whispered, don't call Ryan. Not yet. The paper felt cold in my hand, like it had been hidden somewhere colder than the rest of the world. Before I could ask what she meant, she looked up suddenly, her expression snapping from calm to terrified. Headlights flashed behind us, closing in fast. Her voice dropped to a whisper. It's too late. The headlights grew brighter in the rearview mirror, blinding for a second. I squinted, my pulse quickening. The car behind us wasn't trying to pass. It was matching my speed, every turn, every slowdown. Do you know them? I asked, my voice low but sharp. She didn't answer. Her fingers clutched the edge of her seat, knuckles white. Just keep driving, she said. Who are they? Please, she whispered. Don't ask questions right now. Something in her tone, that fragile edge between fear and control, made my stomach twist. I pressed harder on the gas. The empty road stretched ahead, and the other car followed close, headlights flickering across the back window. Pull over, I said. We can figure. No, she snapped, her voice cracking. If you stop, we're done. Her reaction startled me. I'd never heard someone speak with that kind of raw panic. I drove faster. The warehouses disappeared, replaced by long stretches of dark countryside. The air smelled like rain and metal. My hands were sweating on the steering wheel. Finally, she reached into her jacket pocket and pulled something out, a phone. Not a regular one. It was old, small, with a cracked screen and no case. She powered it on, and the screen filled with lines of static before a single message flashed across it. He knows you're not alone. She exhaled sharply and threw the phone on the floor. It's him, she muttered. He found me. Who's he? Her eyes met mine. For the first time, I saw tears in them. The reason I left. I didn't know what that meant, but her voice was trembling like she'd been holding it in for years. I wanted to help her, but my own fear was starting to catch up. What if I was part of something I didn't understand? Look, I said, trying to steady my breathing. If you're in trouble, we can go to the police. She shook her head violently. No police. He has people there. The car behind us suddenly swerved, flashing its high beams. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. Then, out of nowhere, the phone buzzed again. One new message. Stop the car now, or she dies. She looked at me, eyes wide, frozen between fight and surrender. And that's when I noticed, the light glinting off something metallic tucked just beneath her jacket. For a moment, neither of us breathed. The car's hum was the only sound, low and trembling beneath the weight of everything unspoken. My eyes flicked between the road and the small metallic glint near her jacket, the kind of shine you only see from something dangerous. Is that a gun? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She didn't answer, just stared ahead, face pale and tight. Then, slowly, she pulled it out, not pointing it at me, but keeping it low, near her lap. I'm not going to hurt you, she said. I just can't let them take me again. Again. That word stuck like glass in my throat. The car behind us was still there, tailing close, high beams slicing through the rain-slicked road. My hands trembled on the steering wheel. I could feel my heart pounding so hard it almost drowned out her voice. Who are they? I demanded. What's happening? She looked at me then, her eyes glistening in the dim light, not with anger, but with a kind of helpless exhaustion. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Try me. She hesitated. They think I know something I shouldn't. Something your friend's father was involved in before he died. That name, Ryan's father, hit me like a wave. He died suddenly, years ago. Heart attack, they said. Nothing suspicious. Or at least that's what we were told. I thought you said it was natural, I said. She gave a bitter laugh. Nothing about his death was natural. Before I could ask more, the car behind us honked once, short, sharp, like a warning. Then it rammed into our back bumper. The jolt threw us forward, my hands barely keeping the wheel straight. Drive faster, she shouted. I slammed my foot down. The tires screamed against the wet asphalt as we flew down the narrow road, weaving between the curves. The rain started pouring harder, each drop splattering like static against the windshield. They won't stop, she yelled. Not until they get that case. My eyes darted to the suitcase on the floor by her feet, the one she hadn't let go of since the airport. What's in it? I yelled over the roar of the engine. She didn't answer. just clutched it tighter. Another crash from behind, louder this time. The back window cracked. I could see a silhouette inside the pursuing car, a man leaning forward, calm, focused, like this was just another night for him. "Hold on," I yelled, yanking the wheel and veering off onto a dirt road that led into the woods. Branches scraped the sides of the car as we tore through the darkness. Mud splattered across the windshield. Then, out of nowhere, she grabbed my arm. "If we make it out of this," she said, voice shaking, "you need to promise me something." "What?" "Whatever happens next, don't tell Ryan the truth." I barely had time to react before headlights reappeared through the trees, this time in front of us. 2 more cars. Trapped. And as I hit the brakes, she reached for the suitcase zipper, her lips trembling. "Maybe it's time you knew what's inside," she said. Before she could open the suitcase, one of the cars ahead flashed its headlights 3 times, not as a threat, but as a signal. And then, to my disbelief, she lowered the gun. "They're not here for me," she whispered. "They're here for you." The words didn't register at first. "What are you talking about? I don't even know these people." She looked at me like she pitied me. "You think Ryan just happened to ask you for a favor? He set this up. They've been using you since the beginning." My mouth went dry. "Ryan wouldn't. He already did." She cut in, her voice breaking. "You picked up the wrong woman because they wanted you to. They needed someone clean. Someone who wouldn't be traced." Outside, the cars boxed us in, engines rumbling. I could see faces now, silhouettes stepping out, moving fast, purposeful. One of them was holding a phone, shining with a video call. On the screen, Ryan. Calm. Smiling. "Hey man," he said through the speaker, his voice steady, chillingly casual. "You did great. Now just hand her over." Lena's hand found mine, shaking. "They'll kill us both if you do." Rain hammered against the windshield as the figures closed in, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. My brain was spinning, Ryan's voice still echoing through the phone, calm and cruel, like he'd been waiting for this moment all along. Lena's grip on my arm tightened. "Listen to me," she whispered, her voice trembling. "If they take me, everything ends. But if they take you, it begins again." I didn't understand. I wanted to shout, to demand answers, but she was already unzipping the suitcase. Inside wasn't money or weapons or anything I expected. It was a small, metal device, the size of a book, covered in wires and a single blinking light. "What is that?" I asked. She looked up, her face wet from rain and fear. "Proof. Of who really killed him. Of who Ryan works for." The men outside were shouting now, pounding on the car doors. "Give it to us, and we'll let you walk," one of them yelled. Lena turned to me, eyes pleading. "You have to trust me." Before I could respond, she grabbed the device and pressed a button on its side. The blinking light turned red. The men froze. One of them cursed under his breath. "What did you do?" I whispered. "It's not a bomb," she said, voice steady now. "It's a dead man's switch. If they kill me, it uploads everything. Every name. Every file. They lose everything they've built." Ryan's voice came back through the phone, sharper this time. "Mom, stop this. You don't know what you're doing." "Mom." My heart stopped. I turned to her slowly. "You're Ryan's mother?" She shook her head, tears spilling down her face. "No, I was. Until the day they made me disappear." And then it hit me. The woman in my car wasn't Lena. She was the real one. The one everyone thought was dead. The pounding outside grew louder. Someone shattered the back window. She handed me the device, pushing it into my hands. "If I don't make it out," she said, voice cracking, "don't trust anyone who calls you friend." Gunfire erupted. I ducked. She shoved open the door, stepping into the storm. The red light on the device blinked faster, pulsing like a heartbeat. And just before everything went black, I heard Ryan's voice again, calm, cold, and terrifyingly close. "Don't move. She wasn't supposed to tell you that." When I came to, everything was quiet. Too quiet. The rain had stopped, the night smelled of gunpowder and wet earth, and the only sound was the slow drip of water from the trees above. The cars were gone. So was she. The driver's side window was shattered, my clothes soaked, the cold biting into my skin. The metal device was still in my hand, its light blinking faintly, green now, not red. I didn't know what that meant, only that it was still alive, still waiting. For a long time, I just sat there. The woman, Lena, her last words kept replaying in my mind. "Don't trust anyone who calls you friend. By morning, the police had found the wreckage. They said it looked like a carjacking gone wrong. No bodies, no leads. Just tire marks that vanished into the forest. I didn't tell them about the device. I said I didn't remember much. They believed me, maybe because I looked too dazed to lie. For a week, I kept expecting Ryan to call, to explain, to say it was all a misunderstanding. But he didn't. His number was disconnected, his apartment empty. It was like he'd never existed. I spent nights staring at that device, afraid to touch it, afraid not to. Every few hours, the green light would blink twice, like it was breathing, waiting for something. One night, curiosity won. I connected it to my laptop, just to see what would happen. The screen flickered once, then filled with folders, hundreds of them. Names, photos, bank transfers, voice memos. And one labeled Project Echo. Inside was a video. Ryan stood in front of a concrete wall, speaking into the camera. "If you're seeing this," he said. Then my mother failed to disappear again. His smile was faint, detached. "You were just a test subject," the last clean link to her. "Congratulations. You passed." He leaned closer. "But if she gave you the device, that means you know now. And that means they'll come for you next." The video ended there, leaving a frozen image of his face, familiar and foreign all at once. I sat there for a long time, staring at the screen, heart sinking. Every part of me wanted to run, to throw the device into a river and forget. But something stopped me. Her voice. The way she said, "It begins again." Maybe she was right. Maybe this wasn't just about her, or Ryan, or whatever they'd built. Maybe it was about something bigger, the lies people bury, the truths they kill to protect. So I packed a small bag, tucked the device inside, and drove. No destination. Just somewhere quiet. The same words she'd said that night. I don't know where this road leads, or who's still watching. But I do know this. She didn't die for nothing. And if they're still out there, they won't be the only ones hiding anymore.